If you host a talk show and interview guests or run a commentary kind of a podcast or a YouTube channel, and you ever plan to talk politics on the show, this is something you need to understand before you invite a guest onto the show. Because the FCC just sent a very clear message to broadcasters. They said that casual interview you think is harmless, it might trigger equal time obligations. Now, this rule does not apply directly to podcasters or YouTubers, but it is something we should all be aware of. What the FCC is doing should get your attention. You see, well, let's break it down. What just happened is that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission's Media Bureau, issued a guidance warning to broadcast stations that candidate appearances on talk programs may no longer automatically qualify for the news interview exemption under the equal time rule. Now, for decades, broadcasters have relied on a safe assumption that if a candidate appears on a talk show and it looks more like an interview, it is exempt from equal time requirements. The equal time rule basically says unless there's an exemption, if you give airtime to one candidate, you have to give it to another, to any other who asks as well, and that's sometimes an issue for broadcasters. But they're now saying that exemption that used to be available for talk shows, not so fast. They're saying if the appearance looks promotional or staged or lacks real editorial judgment, then the station could be giving that candidate a use of airtime, and that means that opposing candidates could demand equal time. Or the station might need to ask the FCC for permission before airing that episode. And this doesn't change the law, but it absolutely changes how closely these appearances are going to be scrutinized. So does this apply to podcasters or YouTubers? No, the short answer is no, not directly. The equal time rule applies to broadcast radio and television licensees, and that's because the authority of the FCC to grant licenses and regulate licensing is based on the fact that they operate on publicly owned and licensed airwaves. Now, podcasts, YouTube channels, live streams, newsletters, social platforms, they are not required or regulated by the FCC in this way. You don't owe political candidates equal time in these scenarios. So I guess that's good news. You don't need FCC approval to interview a politician, and that's that. So panic over? Well, not quite. Should creators still pay attention? I think yes, and here's why. Even though this rule doesn't apply directly to us in this podcasting and YouTubing field, it signals something bigger. Regulators are paying closer attention to how political influence is delivered through entertainment and talk formats. And we know that in the 2024 election in particular, candidates appearing on podcasts was an important way for them to reach out to the grassroots community. And we saw a lot of use of the podcasting space and the YouTube space. So here we are in this era of a different approach to reaching the masses through these entertainment and talk formats. It's definitely happening. So for creators, your risks really lie somewhere else. First off, campaign finance laws, paid political promotion rules, FTC disclosure requirements, platform political content policies, and content and release issues with your guests. If you're being paid to promote, sponsor, or you're being sponsored or promoted or coordinated with a campaign, well, then it's no longer just an innocent conversation. You are participating in regulated political activity. And if an appearance on your show has a monetary value, you could be deemed to be making a political contribution. That's where creators can get burned. So here's the guidance for creators. If you host candidates or political figures on your shows, the smart approach says know whether money or value is changing hands. Payment or promotion favors can trigger campaign finance rules. Be crystal clear about sponsorships and endorsements. If it's paid or coordinated, be sure you disclose it properly. Use written guest releases and appearance agreements, especially when the political content could be repurposed later. Maintain your editorial independence. Don't let a campaign script the show and pretend that it's journalism. And understand your platform's political content rules. YouTube, Meta, and others, they have their own enforcement systems, and they can act very quickly and suddenly. Now, broadcasters are being warned. candidate interviews aren't automatically safe anymore. Creators need to be reminded that political content isn't casual content. You don't necessarily answer to the FCC, but you do answer to election law, consumer protection law, platform rules, and contracts. If your content influences opinions, elections, or public trust, you need to treat it like the professional media business that it already is. I'm Gordon Firemark, entertainment, media, and business lawyer, and I'm here to help. If you have questions about how this stuff works, reach out to me for a consultation and we'll talk. In the meantime, I hope you're well. Have a great day. Keep on creating. I'll see you soon.